Hey, what's up, you lunatics? Welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Today we have a highly requested video, how to paint camouflage with spray cans. So we're going to talk about how to do a camouflage paint job with spray cans, and we are going to talk about, because it's me, how to do it on a guitar. So I don't really own anything camouflage. I have a hard enough time finding my stuff as it is. The last thing I need is for it to blend in. But the concepts behind camo are fairly straightforward. There are three kind of main elements that makes something camouflage. The first one is the sheen, and we'll talk about all these individually. The second is, of course, the color, and the third is the texture. So let's talk about the first and easiest one first, sheen. Camouflage needs to be matte. You don't want something full gloss and really shiny. If it's going to be camo, it just doesn't make sense. You don't find stuff like this in nature. No, matte finish only generally, and you can achieve that. I've got tutorials on it by applying a matte clear coat or by using just matte paints or a combination thereof. You can't finish off with a gloss clear coat though. That will make it gloss. The second element, like I said, is color. You need it to blend into the surroundings. That's kind of the whole point of camouflage, or actual camouflage. So, I mean, right now I'm in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and it is currently January. So I'm gonna camouflage paint my guitar. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, color is next. And believe it or not, we can hit both of those elements using a specific paint that Rustoleum makes. Camouflage. Look at that. Camo colors, non-reflective finish, ultra flat colors, which means matte. This makes sense, doesn't it? Now, before we move on to texture, this is a specific product, obviously, that I picked up, and I want to say a big thank you to my Patreon supporters because, as I've said before, I use the money that I get from Patreon to go out and buy products like this so that I can demo them for you guys, test them out so that you don't have to buy them to do that yourselves, and do tutorials with them. So thank you. Much appreciated to those of you who are supporting me on Patreon. I'm trying to add some value recently, like I said, by creating discussion boards and giving previews and stuff like that. I still don't have any exclusive video content on there, and I never will. My stuff is free to watch, but I'm trying to add a little bit of value there too. If you're interested in supporting my Patreon page, or me through Patreon rather, the link is in the description below. Feel free to do that, but you will see all of my videos one way or the other if you want to. Now, our third element, like I said, is texture, and this is where the complexity kind of arises because there are different ways of doing this. We've all seen kind of that classic modeled thing that looks almost like it's camouflage, but it almost looks like it's trying to create a map. It's just blotches of each color. You can definitely do that. You can map that out. It's not particularly realistic, and it takes a lot of time to go in and map all of that stuff out. Or you can get camo pattern stencils, stuff like that, to be able to do it more quickly if that's what you're going for. That's not what I'm going to show in this particular video, but you would use the same colors and apply the same concepts. You just have to layer stuff using those techniques. What gives us a more realistic camouflage is a heavier texture, which involves kind of more complexity and modeling, more like you would see in nature. For example, in the woods, I believe, is the whole kind of point here. And using realistic shapes. So one way to go about doing this is to lay in a back color, for example, the black or the brown / beige here, and then get things like pine, whatever they are, the branches off trees, leaves and stuff like that, depending on your surroundings. If you're looking for actual camouflage, lay those on top of your item and spray to use those as a stencil to create some of those naturally reoccurring shapes in your pattern, and put them all over the place, because I mean, nature's pretty bloody random. I think we can all agree on that. I'm going to employ a third technique. I'm going to create texture using a random item that doesn't involve recurring patterns from nature or anything like that, but it is going to be random and interesting and cool, because what I'm looking for, I mean, it's a guitar. I'm not hunting with it, right? So it's not like I'm doing a gun or something like that, or I don't know, do people hunt with helmets? I've never seen somebody wear a helmet hunting. Anyway, I'm doing a guitar. I'm going to do kind of a stylized texture on mine that's going to employ the camouflage colors and give somewhat of a camouflage effect, but it's not going to be one of those specific techniques. Now that I've explained how to do those, if that's what you're looking for, feel free to go and do that. If you are hunting with your guitar, that's a questionable choice. I don't why. Let's get painting. Well, I guess unlike me, you guys will already know if that GoPro footage worked, so fingers crossed, here's hoping. Anyway, you can balance out these colors however you want. You can add more brown, you can add more, you know what I mean? You can change the amount of each color that you have based on how heavy you put it on and how much blotching you do to take it off. But regardless, here's what we end up with. It's still a little wet, so you're still getting a little bit of sheen, but that is kind of disappearing as we speak. I think this one probably could have used a little bit more brown. Two different ways to do that. One, spray it on and pull off a little bit like I showed you. Two, spray it directly onto the implement that you were using to pull some off, like that garbage bag that I had, and blot some on. Anyway, here's what we ended up with. Looks relatively camouflaged to me. And yeah, that product seems to work just fine. For reference, like I said, you can definitely do more brown if you think that that's better. You can do a broader texture, or you can get a finer texture like this one I have on this side by just blotting more and scrunching up your item that you're using for that a little bit further so it's got smaller pieces that stick out. All right, guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If it helped you out at all, please give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Thank you, as always, for watching. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already so you can see the other tutorials and projects that we have coming out. And yeah, that's about it. Have a good one. I will see you next time. And make sure if you're going to be painting something camouflage that you keep track of where you leave it, you know, especially if you live in the woods or something. What a dumb joke.